It is summer 2025, and since the beginning of the year, many people have been telling me that pre-owned pinball prices are falling. However, when I follow up on where prices are, the answers are all over the place. So, in a special edition of Pinball After Dark, because, see, it's dark, I'm on the road for a gathering in Allentown, Pennsylvania, to get lost looking at pinball prices myself at the greatest flea market and swap meet the pinball community has, Pinfest 2025. I want to see for myself and get a definitive answer to the question if in fact pre-owned pinball prices are coming down. And by looking at the price of this Iron Maiden, no. That answer is no. But come with me anyway to explore the asking prices available and compare that to recent sales trends to determine if, when it comes to pre-owned pinball machine sales, that indeed that line is going down. But before that, there's a farmer's market right over there, and I'm going to help myself to a homemade pretzel wrap. Before getting into the numbers, here's the methodology being used. Pinballprices.com has no affiliation with our content, but the owners created a handy website that keeps a historical average of prices for the past few years. And the sales ads are still online, links to those ads so we can actually reference the numbers. Now this is perfect for us to figure out if there's truth to the whole line goes down in the prices rumor. The floor games featured are all in a condition I would rate between good to fully restored. So when reporting any listed game condition that was less than quote-unquote good, we did our best to filter those out of our criteria. We're also not including prices reported from auctions, as Pinfest doesn't hold an auction as part of their event. So, from a prospective buyer view, let's tour the selection available and try to determine if now and what titles would be a fantastic buy. Austin Powers is an early Stern pinball title that has a following among fans and has held steady at $3,500 for many years, but saw a spike as society emerged from the pandemic years and pinball shows began to resume. Now it's settling back into the $3,500 point, although still just slightly higher. So the asking price of $5,300 and a second Austin Powers at $5,000 even are completely out of line with the emerging price trends. Blackout is a title I personally enjoy, especially because of the art style. The price of this game over the years has jumped, and most of this is due to the terms of finding one in good condition. The average Blackout we came across tends to have either a fake back glass, worn playfield art, or both. The trend line when considering good to better examples of this title is going up. After each spike we see the price come down, which means that one for sale with an asking price of $2,600 is higher than the average price of the past 3 years. So shopping around would be the best course of action. Fishtails has always been a game people enjoyed having, and after refurbishing one personally, I finally had a chance to really play it and appreciate why. The prices we found signal that in the midst of the pandemic, everyone decided to go outside fishing. But since the prices have been coming down, settling just above the $5,000 mark. We watched this happen at the show as the price was dropped from $5,750 to $5,650 and finally $5,250. Apparently the $50 is very important. Competition may have played a part as we did find another Fishtails with a bit of a faded cabinet asking just $4,230, which according to our research is a better deal and also indicates a personality quirk among fishtail owners to not believe in even multiples of 100s. Flash, the first game to appear with one single flash lamp, has watched its price go crazy but has come down after seeing a brief spike at $2,600. With the asking price of $1,700, it may still be in the maybe too much area, but that's based only on our recent sales data. Gladiators was a game I discovered in the previous years right here, and that particular game played great and showed off fun factor. Not many have sold, and neither will this one, as it isn't for sale. But if you are interested in having it as a keeper yourself, since that's apparently what owners of Gladiator do, here's an idea of what a good price range would be. Gorgar's price trend showing an average of $1,700 even surprised Ryan, who did the research for this video, given that it is a popular title, and we know an owner of a home use only Gorgar. The asking price for the one we photographed was $2,400, but the one we captured on video had an asking price of $1,950, indicating that the $50 tack on from Fishtails is spreading, but given the condition it is more in line with where the average price stands. Mousing around, after a brief surge in popularity, has been settling back down to pre-D&D era Bally games. I enjoy the cartoonish theming, but it would be a bit apprehensive until I confirm reproduction ramps are available, as the right ramp to the mouse hole is a deal breaker, because this game needs to be totally dialed in for the gameplay to shine. Starting to settle at $2,300, the $3,400 asking price seems a bit high, but perhaps the or best offer option may have corrected this. NBA Fast Break is a title generally hated by the pinball community, which I know from experience, because I have one here in my own man cave, and boy do I hear about it. For a title that most people want to buy to immediately destroy and convert to another game, its price briefly skyrocketed to, you know this game is a fast break, right? Level of insanity. People appear to be coming to their senses, as it now is the equivalent to buying a Medieval Madness new in box from Williams back in the day. So if you're like us and enjoy this game, the asking price of $3,450, again with the $50, shows you have picked up a great deal. Pinball 2000 was a platform that was a bit ahead of its time, but now appears to be on everyone's want list. After a brief surge, the game is back on the downward trend. I haven't decided yet if this game is on my radar for my game room, but the asking price of $3,900 is completely in line with what we found people are paying for this game. So, a quick kudos goes out to the seller for staying on top of the trends. Trident was a game whose art left such an impression. I'm just going to leave it at that. Not many of these have been sold, but the trend line left off at $1,500 for this early example of Stern Electronics games. The $1,500 asking price doesn't seem that far off for those who enjoy this era of the Stern Bally pinball history. Target Alpha has a trend line that has been going down over the course of the past 6 years. The Target Alpha we found here at the show listed at $1,600, being $250 higher than the $1,350 average. Black Rose, another game that the pinball community generally frowns upon, basically for the default settings that make collecting the big points and sink ships available way too easy during multi-ball. I had this game because I was attracted to the cannon fire going across the play field, so I loved it so much I rewrote the rules on the Internet Pinball Database. For a game that receives so little love, the price has been going up from a reasonable $2,500 in 2019 to attempting to break the $4,000 mark, and PinFest had not one but two restored Black Rose machines, both with that $4,000 asking price, keeping in line for the current trend with this title. And I'd love to know from you why this is a title you are seeking and how did it get on your radar, because back when I owned it, the pinball enthusiast community kept giving me the bombastic side-eye. The machine, by the Pinbot, is another example of a playfield with repetitive rules and an imbalanced scoring, but thanks to aftermarket upgrades and the ability to change the rules overall, the demand for this title amongst collectors has suddenly increased. So the increase in the price trend makes a lot of sense. The trend shows that this game likes to hover around the $4,500 price point. Our chart does indicate a standout in 2023 with only one sale that matched our criteria, but that was sold by a professional restoration company, hence the $8,000 data point in our chart. We found a game-ready one for $4,700, which is holding this title firmly in that upper 4K range. But if you want to attempt a more cost-effective route, we did find project games in the flea market for a low asking price of $3,200. Countdown takes us back to the Gottlieb era of pinball and should be falling right around the $1,300 mark, give or take. So the one here for sale on the floor for $1,350 puts it right where it should be. Our chart is another example of showing an outlier where a sale by a professional restoration company happened last year and should only be used as what one person was willing to pay. Doctor Who is another example of a 90s Bally Williams game that has increased in value, averaging $4,725 just last year. It explains why a good example suffering only cabinet fade had an asking price of $39.25 and is one of few games in our research that was sold early. Steve Ritchie's Firepower is also gaining community notoriety as the price for this game has only been going up. Back in 2023, paying $2,700 for this game was the trend, so the $2,300 asking price at the show should be an indicator of great news to those seeking to add this title to their collection. Flash Gordon also appears to have caught the eye of collectors. However, in 2021 there was a blip in which one traded for and is the only explanation we could find for the price increase, and even though the price is still settling down, the asking price was $2,700, so just a bit above our data line from past sales. Right now, let's talk about Red and Ted's Roadshow. Inside the community, it is only a fan favorite among a small group of even the most loyal Lawler fans, but yet the price has climbed $2,000 over the course of the years that we researched. An asking price of $3,450 has us wondering, well, if this is an East Coast seller thing that they want $50 with the payment for the game, and if our data includes some people who went on record paying way too much, there's an elephant in the room we need to discuss, and it is Hurricane. The trend line is going up. 60% of the playfield is one ramp, 4 shots, and they're all covered in claims. What are we doing here, people? We had to include Party Animal as one of our own Pinball Show collaborates swears by this game, and unfortunately, yes, we do know why he swears by this title. But seriously, yes, it is the original in the Dennis Norman Party series. Now aftermarket ramps are available, which will improve the overall appearance. The availability of these ramps coincides with the upward tick of the trend line, and once again there's a bit of grain of salt to swallow as the sale in 2023 was the result of a transaction with a professional restorer. The asking price of $1,450 is indicating to us that with more sales data though, Party Animal may be on the downward side of the curve. Space Shuttle, on the other hand, has always been a crowd favorite, and if you haven't gotten yours yet, the trend line isn't looking in your favor. The one shown here in the video was not for sale, but the asking price for another one here at the show was $4,100. However, we did find a second Space Shuttle available for sale, and that was only available for $2,450. There's that $50 again. But the lesson here is it pays to shop around, and sometimes even shopping around in the exact same room. Star Trek The Next Generation is showing no signs of backing off its quest to boldly go where no price has gone before. The one we are showing here is a great looker and a great player, and in the spirit of full disclosure, the color DMD worked flawlessly. We went and calibrated our cameras to minimize the scrolling on many score displays. Turned out much worse. While this particular title was not for sale, we found it to be an overall amazing condition and wanted to include what it would take to own a Star Trek The Next Generation in your game room in today's market. Whirlwind earned its place as being one of the best System 11 games, and its addictive gameplay has stood the test of time. The trend line for this title confirms that, and while the 2024 price on our chart is a professional restoration, that price is lower than the average price of 2023. And while the price line is coming down, it is still above the $5,000 we previously saw, and still above the $3,500 it was commanding in the years prior, which, in an odd way, makes the $4,250 asking price here at the show feel like a bargain, and despite the overall trend line, does indeed show the price of this pre-owned game is coming down, and for some in the market, this is really good news. Every time we go to a show, each member of the road crew has to choose a game to be the game of the show, and I found myself enjoying this Bally Escape from the Lost World. Typically, these older Bally multi-level playfield games are in rough shape, but this one has had a lot of attention to detail performed. The cabinet, the back box, and the playfield are all visually great, and the gameplay itself was smooth, with each shot being something easily made. I found myself coming back to play this one more and more, something that I've never really done with a Bally Lost World in the past. Not many have been sold over the years, so there are only a few numbers to guide us, but the asking price of $2,200 is pretty much in line with what our research has found.
Alright, so from the charts that we see, overall, line is coming down. Not everywhere, but enough. Now, I was speaking to an operator off camera, and while line goes down is good for people like me who enjoy the pre-owned market games because I restore them, from an operator's perspective, he's a little nervous about if the line comes down too much, that would actually hurt sales for our current Stern Pinball, Jersey Jack, and the likes, because if prices come down too much, people who invested when line was high might either be holding out to actually get their money out of it, or if they're too jammed for space, might decide, well, let me just hold on to my game a little longer. I'm not in a rush to sell it at a loss, which in turn, while not immediately, he feels would translate into lost sales for new pinball machines, which it's still early. It's only 2025, and time will tell. So maybe we'll do a follow-up on that one. Hit the subscribe button. See if we actually follow through with that. Here at the channel, we like to give the behind-the-scenes guys some airtime. Big thanks to Ryan, who clearly spent a lot of time with his nose stuck in spreadsheets looking over numbers to make sure we were as accurate as possible, to make sure all the charts you saw looked good and had great numbers in them. Unfortunately, even the ones where line went up. So, that's right.
Those are numbers.
Those aren't, okay, that's enough on camera time for you. Thank you so much for watching our very first attempt at an investigative report. I appreciate it. And until I see you in the next video, I am Wolffy.
A who to you.